And living in the moment, is there a fear of planning the next holiday before you've even finished the one you're on?
Yeah, I think it is. I think you. Hey, I mean, we like to take time and reflect. We normally come home, we go through our photographs, we print a couple of canvases, we've got a wall of canvases that we put up on each trip we come back. We like to select one or two memorable shots. And,
but I think it's about, we choose our trips mindfully. It's not just to get out and go on a trip. It's what do we want out of the trip? What is the experience we're looking for? Is it just to be in nature and just, or do we want to experience different places? So like when we went up to Tanzania, okay, we're taking a Cloud's vehicle, but we wanted to experience, so we mindfully planned a route of the things we wanted to see along the way.
well, I think most people will do that. They'll plan a route to see things that they want to see. I think the challenge is, you don't want to live from trip to trip to trip without actually realizing that there's more than just filling your life with trips, because I've done that. I've gone tick, tick, tick in my life and gone, I need to do this and the next and the next. And when I look back on my life, I was probably running away at some stage from some stuff, or probably not really focusing on the bigger picture. So the trip has value. So now, as Joe says, we'll look at a trip and we'll go, is this a trip we both want to do? Is this where we, as opposed to just going, yeah, it's a trip, we'll do it, Because, again, time, energy, value, what do we want? What do we want? So I look at our priorities and I go, so here's my highest priority, okay? As I think most couples would say, here's my highest priority. So if we look at this first, and then we look next, and then, and does it work for me? Do I need to do it for work? Am I doing it for pleasure? So I think people do evaluate it. It's just the fact of coming home and not taking time to reflect back. So if we come home and talk about our trip and reminisce over the photographs, there's meaning. Your friends may give you a few minutes on your trip, not because they want to be rude, but because either they don't relate to it or their life's busy. So don't be disappointed if you've done a year away and you come back and your friends give you 10 minutes about your trip. It's only because they can't relate to that experience.
Our second hand is never the same.
Yeah.
It's like trying to relay a joke to somebody and they weren't there.
Exactly.
And I think that it goes back to that whole thing of planning the trip mindfully to make it meaningful and memorable, because there's a lot of processing and a lot of digesting that needs to happen after a trip, because when you're overlanding, there is so much that you're stimulated by in a different way. So you're absorbing your environment, you're interacting with the locals, it's the animals, it's the vegetation, it's each other, it's cooking a meal, it's having the fire, it's being on the river, there's a lot of, and the movement, that constant movement. So you need to actually root down, calm down, settle down, and let it just, like sand, or coffee, like percolate,
When you're traveling, often I think we find it works, and I advise people to do this. I say, take time out on your trip, because, at home, what we take in and day out is often the same. We get up, same house, same environment. We don't have massive stimulation. I've seen this house as long as I've lived here. Okay, 4 walls, so I don't have to absorb a new image of what's going on. It just is there. When you're traveling, you're bombarded with new imagery and new information constantly, and that's very overwhelming. And I think people don't always take the time to go, I need some time out just to let my mind catch up with all the experiences we've lived. And I think that's often the mistake. People are trying to do too much in too short a space of time. So you come back from a trip with so much information, new experiences, and bombarded into your mind and pushed, racked, stacked, and packed, that to unpack that, to actually sit back and go, what was that like? That sun? Do you remember that sunset? Do you remember us going on the boat?
Sensory overload.
Yeah, exactly. It's an overload. And I think the value of actually coming back and taking time to unpack that and maybe talk it through, and often reviewing your photographs is a great way to do it. Yeah.
But also not to be absorbed at looking at your experience through another eye. Just also accept that the memory here is also a photograph.
It's the best camera in the business. In terms of people wanting more of the overlanding trips, are you starting to tailor-make sort of overlanding packages to take in some of the sort of Bushman paintings and some of these great cultures that are along the way? That
not so much overland packages, I think more of an experience. Eh?
Yeah,
We put a concept together.
It's the inner journey through an outdoor experience by taking people to significant places where they can experience different cultures and things like foraging or going to the rooibos plantations and really going back to nature, learning some of the traditions, the things that we've lost touch with, and those things that we should be able to fall back on that we've actually forgotten about, like some of the traditional plants that in fact, I don't even know the name of it, but they're in our gardens here. They're some of the succulents. You break it off. If you've cut yourself, it's an antiseptic, disinfectant, and it's a little bit of a balm, so your skin doesn't scar. We've lost touch with that.
All those natural remedies.
So I think that's exactly what we try to do is the concept we put together, the inner journey through an outdoor experience, is taking couples who would be keen to actually, it's not about hardcore overlanding, it's about a balance of getting some experience and taking an opportunity
And reflect
look
along
at
the
that
way.
and say, let's look at what does an inner journey look like, and here's an outdoor experience to enjoy that work you do. You could sit down and have the discussion here, or we could actually do it in the bush and have some really time which is not distracted and full of information. We could literally step back and say, now we're sitting around a campfire. How nice is it to talk around a campfire? It's just
It's a tribal instinct thing.
Yeah, almost what our ancestors used to share stories and pass on information between people, okay? And I think we share a lot of information in many ways, but it's often lost, the value's lost. If you send a text or an email, the impact of that text and email can often land wrong. If you pick up the phone and you talk to someone, it has a better result, okay? You build that relationship. And if you're sitting around a fire where you haven't got any distractions, you haven't got the TV, the radio,
The bush
nothing else.
television.
The bush television, yeah. Great, exactly. And you're watching the sunset. That interaction again is what we're very passionate about, because we know the value of that. So that's, I think to sum it up, people get value in so many different ways.
But it sparks something in you to have those experiences, and it sparks conversation. And we go to different places in conversation by having those, because you share them and then you reflect on them, and it's going at a gentle pace. It's not like overlanding. It's stopping to pause, to reflect, to enjoy, to observe, to participate, to have practical experiences. So we're tapping into all the senses, which teaches you a lot about you.
So it's
And
almost
comes
like
back
an
with a-
experience. Eh?
yeah, it's an enriching experience.
It's all about the journey.
That's it. So we've basically, that's the concept we've developed. We actually had a complete program planned up just before COVID. But yeah,
We'll be back.
We are back, and we will be back.
If anybody's keen on this job,
I think if people are interested, we will absolutely pull it together and share that experience. We're very passionate about how people can enjoy overlanding. As much as I build vehicles, that's building the vehicle, and that has its value and its place. But once it's built, there's a whole lot more to overlanding, which I believe is so important to embrace and encompass, which is how I live my life, how we live our life, how we enjoy our trips. And I think that's part of what we share with people, and people share with us. You're learning from each other all the time. It's fantastic.
And
That's my biggest teacher.
and I think we teach each other now.
Yeah.
I think that if women are feeling a little bit uneasy, unsure, skittish, whatever, I'm always happy, they can pop a line to Paul or pop a line to me. I'm happy to chat and allay those
Jo
fears.
does a discovery call, and she consults to people and does training and facilitating, and I think that in the work that she does to empower people, it's what she does full time, and it's training in corporate space, it's personal, person to person. So and a number of my overland clients have connected with us and taken time with Jo to actually work on elements that they feel they'd like to enrich their lives with. And the overland platform arena that we have, that we all enjoy, that space, that beautiful space, is a lovely area to grow and take some time to do that work. So yeah,
Good old family business.
absolutely. Well, hey, we're passionate about what we do. We love it and
Just want to share it.
share it.
And it's nice for clients to have an option. They can speak to Paul, or they can speak to yourself. You know, there's options.
Yeah, I think that's much more. You know,
We'll just give a different perspective.
it's
There
an
we go.
ethos. It's an ethos we do want to share and believe in, and I think that's yeah.
Don't miss out. Just do it.
Just do it.
Voila.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you.